See this one?
It's still warm.
This is the one you want to get.
These spikes, are they from...
Be swift.
Welcome all to the hunt, and today we shall be hunting the Nargacuga. This creature is a relic from the past, and although it has a lot of elements that I genuinely just don't like when it comes to monster design, I will say straight up that it's an incredible monster creature animal design in general. It looks so like an animal that it just proves to me that I think I prefer monster design in the Game Age series to be much more animal-based than they are dinosaur or lizard-based. You know, so your Bambaro, your Nargacuga, your Tobi-Kadachi, all those stuff to me just look like a lot more realistic. And that's one of the many ways I think the Nargacuga stands out as being a legitimately fantastic design that has been persevered through the year. And although I have some issue with some of the designs, so like the black fur, outside of in the red eye, I'm not a big fan of the red eye nor the black fur. I get it, I get the inspiration behind it, but I'm personally just not a huge fan of it. With that said, the fight itself of Nargacuga is also a very swift and interesting one, and also marks a departure from most of the fights that we saw thus far, although very similar to the Barrioth that we just saw previously. First of all, we're fighting in a monster that's relatively in the same skeleton. Outside of that, the thing is, just like the Barrioth, very swift, very aggressive, but a lot more agile in its movement, thus making the fight, I don't want to say more dance-like, but you definitely have to be much more aware of how you spend your moves. However, since you're in the ancient forest, you will have to deal with a lot of bullshit. Like this Jagger's killing me. I never thought that shit was gonna happen, but apparently it did. With that said, Nargacuga also marks a different point in this series where, well, in the monster fights, where most of the monsters from now on will have incorporated their own unique theme. Now, Nargacuga is the first one in Iceborne that has its unique remixes of its old one, and it sounds great. It really, really does. It's not my favorite theme, but I feel like it represents Nargacuga fairly decently. It's just a shame that I don't like the theme in general. But I like the idea and conceptual idea of it, but it seems like it's a little bit of cherry picking when it comes to monsters that get their own unique theming or not. I get it for like Elder Dragons, but when it comes to mid-tier monsters, so like your Nargacuga, your Brachydios, your Anjanath, your Rathalos, your Diablo, you know what I'm saying? Like, it seems like a whole lot of cherry picking as to which one gets a theme and which one doesn't. With that said, again, great rendition of a team, personally not my favorite. Which let this be a lead into how you actually fight a Nargacuga. Here, I just get unlucky when it comes to standing position, how they rest. But essentially, Nargacuga has very, very strong forelegs and less so hind legs. Just like the Barrioth, fairly weak at the hind legs. But if there's ever a place where you need to aim anything at, it's the forelegs because they can be broken. Unlike the Barrioth, you cannot stagger the Nargacuga more by breaking the forelegs. However, I would still recommend to go for that, if only because of the math that we shall go into now. So, let's look at the hit zone value for every limb. We have an average of 39 when it comes to cutting damage. By the way, I'm looking at cutting damage. The head is at a very soft 65. It's a very juicy weak point. Nargacuga just has a lot of juicy hit points in general. The stomach is at a 40, which is pretty good. The back at 30, which then again, most people don't do that. The forelegs at 21, but when they get broken, they go down to 43. And that is a huge damage boost if you're a forelegs hammer. The hind legs out of 30, which is still pretty decent for forelegs. Usually most of them are like at 20 or 25. So just to have like that extra 5 is still pretty generous. And if you tenderize them, that goes even up by an even bigger amount. The tail is at 46 and the tail tip is at 40, which is one of the things I really like, and they make a really big distinction of that from the monster design, is that the tail tip has a different durability than the tail itself, because the Nargacuga loves to use its tail. One of its super move is actually backing up and smacking you with its with the tail. So, and also, since it can induce bleeding with its tail, it's a huge part of a kit. So, obviously, if you're going to fight a Nargacuga, the best way to go about it is not to stand by the hind legs, bro. Because it will punish you. It is a swift creature that will reposition unbelievably easily, probably bleed you, and also smack you damn hard with that whack of a tail. Also, her spin attacks, like circle attacks with the tail, are incredibly fast, and she can double back when she's in range, making sure that the hind legs, I repeat, are not a good spot to find the Nargacuga. If there is one spot that you should find a Nargacuga, it's at the side or in the front of the forelegs. Yeah, she has a lot more dangerous moves that could potentially harm you a lot harder than the Barioth, but at least it's a lot more doable. And if there's a weapon that you should fight the Nargacuga with, it's with range weapons, bruh. The Nargacuga, unlike the Barioth, does not have a huge pounce attack or a projectile attack, meaning that range is a lot more of a viable option, especially if you're going for bow and getting a lot of chaos out of that. A lot of people say that the that the hammer is the KO king. They're fucking wrong. Bow is KO king. You can get so many stun locks and punish the Nargacuga extremely easily with one of those. So, just take those into account when you're going into a fight, and remember to always aim as much for the forelegs and the face as possible to deal maximum amount of damage. Outside of that, I just really got unlucky in this one particularly. The Jaggers just kind of killed me for... Like, you should never be killed by the Jaggers, just like getting killed by a Vespoid. But you know, sometime you gotta deal with the consequences. Well, that's about it for the Nargacuga. An interesting monster, a really swift and interesting fight. And yeah, we'll see you all on another hunt.